Very nice. We'll now switch to English, and we would like to hear from our alumni, the personal success stories of those who succeeded in their studies, and then some of them went abroad. This is also the reason why we're switching to English, because some of them feel more comfortable in English by now. We have invited a couple of panelists from abroad, and please welcome our testimonials. That is Dr. Eva Maria Binder, currently Head of Translational Sciences of DSM-Firmenich, Animal Nutrition and Health, as well as Managing Director of DSM Austria. She spent all her career in innovation and innovation-related processes. She's the co-inventor of more than 25 patent families. Dr. Michael Fink, he has made a big tour all around the world, from Harvard to Edinburgh. He's the CEO of a startup, vice president of Ascina, the Austrian scientists in North America. Welcome. Dr. Günter Gmeiner, head of the Department of Forensic Analysis of Seibersdorf Laboratories and head of the only WADA-accredited doping laboratory in Austria. Dr. Yasemin Koc, a very untypical path for a chemist. In her role as a supervisor for science communication and innovation, Yasemin supported and led projects focusing on new technologies in developing countries. Amongst others, Yasemin initiated and managed activities under the Newton Fund, enabling science, technology, and innovation collaboration between the United Kingdom and developing countries. Welcome. Professor Karl Mayrhofer, he had just told me that he set up 3 laboratories from scratch. His stations all around the world included TU Wien, Berkeley, Munich, Düsseldorf, Erlangen, and now Jülich as a director and head of research department. Very welcome. Dr. Barbara Oberhauser, recipient of the TU Wien Women's Award in 2017. She did her postdoc at ETH Zurich and then succeeded for a stunning 33 years at OMV, where she had it in multiple functions. And since 2018, you can see that she's still connected to TU Wien. She's also Universitätsrat. Very warm welcome. And last but very certainly not least, Dr. Katrin Jatzdi-Zorn. She is the TU Women's Award recipient in 2021. Since 2010, she is at MIBA, Industrial Bearings. Dr. Jatzdi-Zorn pays special efforts to the empowerment of girls and women to pursue a technical career. Welcome. We have some microphones in front of us, and I just thought I would start with you, Kati. What was your takeaway from TU Wien, especially with respect to the empowerment of girls and women?
Well, first of all, it was really a great time at the Technical University of Vienna. I experienced a lot of support. I never experienced any barrier because that I was a woman. And there was already quite some women's power at the Physical Chemistry Institute. I guess some of you remember Professor Hannelore Winnig, and we had a quite critical mass there. And since then I really try to inspire girls and women to move into a technical career, because that is really something which is creativity for your entire life, and most of the time I experience that they do not even think about that. And so for me that was one point, to this openness. And besides that, I would say the close interdisciplinary collaboration and the close intercultural collaboration. Luckily I could travel a lot during my PhD, and we had a lot of guest students there, and this was something that helped a lot. in my career.
Very good. You will be happy to hear that right now we are really scratching to a 50-50 gender balance.
Oh,
I think
really?
we are 49-51 in the first semester now. So it really we are there at the gender balance.
Which is totally different in industry, at least when it comes to mechanical engineering, automotive industry, so then it's getting difficult. Yeah.
It takes a while.
Good to hear.
For Dr. Oberhauser, where are you at OMV with the gender balance right now? Where did you?
When I started, very, very often the only one. The only woman in many, many meetings, when it came to management. And when I changed the department, it was always interesting because then the male said, oh, now the culture will change again. Because they realized that meeting culture was different if there was a woman in the room.
And of course, this is a very bad thing if culture ever changes, right? It's supposed to be where it is. Yeah. So that's fascinating. That's fascinating. Any other takeaways from any of the panelists? Feel free to engage.
Let me give one more takeaway from the university here. And when you talk about motions, I should switch to English now because this time at this university here was very emotional to me and still is. Still is. I always feel coming home, I always still very, very grateful to this university because in one sentence, I am where I am because of this university.
That's very. I think a round of applause for such a statement. Wonderful. But I doubt you're not happier than me being here at this university.
Maybe.
That is not possible, not humanly possible.
I can just echo what Mrs. Oberhauser was saying, so I wouldn't be here if I haven't been here many years ago. And this is really something positive. And I'm also very glad for the first statement of my co-panelists that nowadays there is no gender issue not at all. When I studied, and this was in the late 80s to the mid 90s at TU University, and this is not an insult, this is a fact. Those of you who have been there, it was a boys' club, honestly. It was for sure, there were few female professors, if there were even any, some assistants, but certainly not many of them were role models. So I'm super glad that this changed. Of course, the world changed in this regard, but when you put gender, equity, diversity, TU Vienna into ChatGPT, I'm a lazy person, very often I just ask ChatGPT, you get the answer that TU Vienna is leading now in this field in comparison to other Austrian universities, particularly when it comes to science, engineering, technology fields. So obviously the efforts are seen very well and received very well, and this is a very good development which makes me proud.
Mm-hmm. But we're certainly not always there. Yasemin, what is your take? What is your message for the developing countries? How are you working towards gender balance, empowering women, developing technology, science and technology in places that are probably not the most likely if you think about that?
It's a bit of a big question to say what is my message to the developing countries. I think what is my message to the developed world, that we now need to actually listen and learn from the developing context. So my vocation really is to improve education systems in developing contexts, especially around how we teach and how we learn. Because there's a lot around the cultural context and the way these contexts actually exist and conduct themselves. And that reflects in their education. However, the education is imposed from the outside. So in terms of, what I've learned by being here, what I've taken from being here is a lot around obviously the cross-disciplinarity, as we've seen this morning already. So we had an architect, but we also had chemists, together here discussing on what has been done, but it's also the place itself. Vienna is so immensely inspiring. It's just an inspiring place. There's so much thinking going on. And I think it's about that we empower people to think and to maybe relearn how to think and relearn how to teach in that sense. So yeah, my message is to the developed kind of world that we actually now need to sit and listen, especially in the context of, when you think about the Sustainable Development Goals, environmental issues, places like Africa are far ahead because they're already dealing with these issues. And so, that is, I think, my message for now, and I don't want to take any more at this point in time. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think I'll just continue along these lines. Like, why we are all here, I think we all would not be here if we would not have enjoyed our times here at TU Vienna. I think what's behind is, I think, at least for my times, and I think that's probably what we also have in common, is all the engaged professors here, the teaching, the education at a very high standard. I see a lot of professors from my time still here, which I'm very happy about. And I think that really made a difference for us all. And I think this continues. So I think there is a culture of high-level education. I can just say from my experience being much abroad, seeing different institutions, there was no place where I needed to hide with this base education that I enjoyed here. Yeah, especially in the US, also in the German system, but also other countries. Yeah, I think this was always like my takeaway. Seeing all these other places, I think it's something that is actually a little bit undersold here at the TU Vienna to the outside, in my opinion. It's also something that is not so visible because, like, everybody evaluates research and high impact papers. You can make some denominators on this, but it's very hard to evaluate the quality of teaching. And I think that's what I take away from here, and that's what I appreciated. I think that's what we share also here, why we are in advanced positions coming and making a career afterwards.
Do you still, well, do you miss TU Wien emotionally? Huh? Do you miss TU Wien?
Do I miss TU Wien? No, I haven't thought about this. Yeah.
Often.
I appreciated the time here. Yeah, it's really good. I love Vienna. I think it's. I mean, not for no reason, like one of the most highest quality cities in the world. Yeah, I always come back here. I really like it. So yes, I miss my times there.
But you told me you have never been actually engaged in research while you were studying here.
Yeah, I have to say I was only 3 years here during my education and mostly spent my time abroad and also in doing research. I could imagine coming back here anytime, I have to say.
Well, as long as you're successful, the time spent here doesn't count. You still count as an alumni. So we'll take you as a successful alumni to shine a light on ourselves.
No, it's a really great university. I think it's in a great city. I think everybody could enjoy this. I think you still see, maybe, if I tell you, may take the time, sorry, but I think that maybe goes under a little bit, like in this first part here. You also see this engagement of the people, of professors, yeah, that are standing here like construction ministers, yeah, and you see like what jobs they are doing beyond that, yeah, and to make this and bring it in the future, yeah, and it takes those type of people, and you have them here, yeah, that do this and present this with the typical Wiener Schmäh, yeah, overplaying all the frustration that is also behind that, and the among all here. So I think that's a great place. It's good. The people are good. So I see that the culture is still here. So congratulations from my side to all of this. And over, I think.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I want to bring another aspect, yeah, which was important for me and is still important for me. And this is somehow I was inflamed by the fascination of science. Coming to the technical university, you have to know that my parents wanted me to be a lawyer, or let's say a judge. And I went to the University of Vienna and I saw this is much too crowded for me, too many students, and then I came to the technical university because my second idea was chemistry, and there was just one person looking where I can register. And we got friends then because we found it together how to register for chemistry. So this fascination of science was for me in my professional career also very important. And I want to come back to what Johannes Röhrig said. So in anti-doping and in forensic sciences, you are dealing exactly with these 3 per mil of lunatics that here around. And it's good if you can, I would say, distinguish between facts and alternative facts in this business. And if you have quite a stable education in science and different aspects of science, then this helps a lot, especially in my profession.
Very nice. Michi.
I can very much support that statement. I'm grateful for the diverse education that TU Wien has given me. More diverse than I think I wanted in the beginning. I came here, I said I want to be an organic chemist. So why do I have to learn to do a Taylor expansion, and why is this person teaching me thermodynamics, and why do I have to pass a test that requires me to do a mass balance on a continued stir tank reactor? I don't care about any of this. I want to be an organic chemist. Turns out I never became one. So now I've met more and more people who said, well, I thought you're a chemist. How do you know how to do a Taylor expansion? How do you know to mass balance this? And how do you know all these other things? And I said, well, someone thought it was a good idea that I learn it. So I think that diverse education is something that works really well when you want to become a generalist.
Yep. You've taken one step further into entrepreneurship. Did your studies help you there, like in building up resilience and being persistent in following your dreams? Because I think studying chemistry is still a bit painful, and you need some stamina.
It helps. It also helps to be fundraising for startups, or fundraising in general is a process best done without shame. So you walk into offices and you ask questions that the other person doesn't want to answer. And a good friend of mine from times here at TU Wien, we learned that at an early age. We wanted to skip a year and take a course that was not planned for that particular year, and it was taught by Professor Schubert. Stiege 7, Stock 2, or the other way around. We didn't know that there was 2 Professor Schuberts. And one was Stiege 7, Stock 2, the other one was Stiege 2, Stock 7. That led to an awkward conversation.
That's hilarious. When we talked beforehand, you told me a very funny story, and I cannot let you go without telling this, because my to-do list says I will have to ask you about your most emotional moment at TU Wien, and you told me this very funny story, which I insist that you share with the audience.
I will use up all my speaking time now. There were many emotional moments at TU Wien, and when I got asked that question, I thought, and then I was, okay, there was one that was really a shocker. And I have to take 1 or 2 minutes to sort of give the context. We were this was probably around 2009, 2010. We're organizing Christmas parties for the Institute of Synthetic Chemistry. And these were quite successful. Lots of people came, and at one point the library was being refurbished. So this huge room of multiple thousand square feet was vacant and empty, and is going to be empty over the Christmas break. So I at that point suggested and said, this is going to be the venue for our next Christmas party. Now, the people who usually help me, or well, were part of the organizing committee, said, okay, but you have to get the president's office approval or permission to do that. And I said, okay, so who's going to get that? Turns out the president's office approved the Christmas party to be held in that venue. So we said, that's great. We now can build much more decorations than usual, but also we need to invite more people because it's too large for just chemists. So I asked another person, said, can we please invite all students? And they said, yes, but you need the permission of the president's office. So I said, okay. Can we get that, please? So another surprise, we got the permission from the president's office to invite all students of TU Wien to our Christmas party. And I remember the person sending the email somewhere in the back there and asked me, Michi, are you sure? And I said, hit it. So I think we had probably 1,500 or 2,000 people there, which in retrospect was way over our capacity to conduct a safe event. Also, the person who was also in the audience, who I'm not going to name, usually was going to be responsible for these parties, at that point said, Michi, das gehört ganz dir. So during the night, nothing happened or nothing big happened, but at some point I was DJing and a person in uniform appeared next to me, uniform from GUT, and required for me to lower my headphones, and then I have to say that in German, and he said, "Sind Sie für das verantwortlich?" And I had nothing better to say, yes, this is all mine, because someone told me that I should say that. And then he changed his voice and said, "No, schaut dir ganz gut aus." And these 2 seconds were the most emotional moment.
Anybody else want to chip in an emotional moment at TU Wien? Is there any personal story? Yeah, sure, Eva Maria.
Chip in with one. When I studied here, I studied at the Chemie Hochhaus, and the terminus safety security was mentioned already a couple of times before. When I studied there, I mentioned before when this was, there was nothing like that. And we basically lived there for doing our diploma thesis, later on the PhD thesis. We had a key to the institute. I was working with fermenting enzymes, so you had to monitor this all the time. We were kind of family. We were there overnight sometimes. We spent there weekends. We had this nice escape balcony, emergency escape balcony, which was certainly not safe. We were sitting there with 1 or 2 beers in our hands and smoking. We even had Sylvester parties there. And nobody cared at all. You wouldn't imagine having this nowadays. But then it was just a community. As you said, nothing happened, luckily. I wouldn't like to imagine if something had happened. And it was also those guys who went through this building during midnight doing their control trips. They never hindered us from doing or prevented us from doing something. It was just like home.
Perhaps let's go to our message for the future generations. Is there how do you feel about the future, Günter? Do you need more specialists for your doping search and for your forensic endeavors, catching more and more of the bad guys?
The point is that in forensic science, actually my best collaborator is not only female, she's also from the TU Wien, and she's really good, and she has really a very deep understanding of what has to be done. But otherwise, I don't want to say otherwise, all the others are not so good, but for us, we are sitting in Seibersdorf, small village somewhere in Lower Austria, 30 kilometers from here. It's not so easy to get qualified staff in general. So, and I also have the impression, that this, I would say, work-life balance, in the new generation has changed. So. not a little bit, but somehow drastically changed. Yeah, so they are not so really interested in, let's say, doing great things. Yeah, more interested in how can they balance their free time and so on. So the message for me, mainly in my work, is again to catch their interest. Say, listen, what we are doing is really something relevant. Yeah, what we are doing is something which is also contributing, yeah, to the development of the society and so on. So this is something which I try in our shoe fixes that we have, and I would say that about 90% of my staff is somehow below 35 years. Yeah, so I would call them, if I think of my age, quite young. Yeah, to motivate them to go a little bit more above the limits which they have from their job description, for instance, and go deeper also into, and I'm coming back to that, into the science behind to understand deeper what they are doing. Yeah, and I'm also always motivating them, yeah, to publish, yeah, to go outside and to give presentations and so on, so that we are not ending up, yeah, somehow. And I want to mention Dr. Frankenstein, yeah, from the novel of Mary Shelley, who also was a scientist, yeah, was a chemist, yeah, Italian, and that we are not ending up doing something in our own environment, yeah, in the basement, and somehow creating a little bit of a monster due to the fact that this is not challenged, yeah, from the science, from outside, yeah, and that maybe also the situation does not gets somehow out of control, yeah, in that. So main point is, from what I wanted to say, is also be fascinated by the science, and also don't be an island, yeah, like we are sometimes are in Seibersdorf, and go outside and challenge what you are doing. And we are also very happy that we can also cooperate with the Technical University, still cooperate with the Technical University. So Peter Gärtner and we are always having projects together in the context of anti-doping, new metabolites for the detection, long-term metabolites for the detection, for instance, of anabolic steroids. And this connection also helps us a lot, yeah, being somehow a little bit remote from the center.
Yeah, definitely. I would say that the Faculty of Technical Chemistry has maintained its down-to-earth approach with researching things that actually affect people's lives. That's what I see on campus every day. There is, especially if I compare it to other faculties, I'm not naming any of them, but there is still some. You can talk about your research to a stranger, and they will find it interesting. Oh, that's actually quite good. And perhaps this is also something that we'll have to do better in the future, and we are currently trying to get the impact on the outside world. We have initiated a social media campaign. I'm pretty sure that our dean will be talking about this as well. Or if you take a minute and talk to him in the lunch break, he will certainly talk about this. Yasemin, the down-to-earth approach. Or Karl, do you want to chip in?
I would like just to add maybe on the motivation aspect, yeah, and I think maybe boil it down a little bit to the students also. I think my message would be, when you're a student here or anywhere, it's not about getting a degree, which I see much often nowadays for many people, yeah. And I think the motivation part is, like, you have here fantastic people that have built up and revitalized a fantastic environment. You have the people here who love to coach, to teach. Use this chance, yeah. It's a huge playground where you can grow, yeah, where you can grow in your personal experience. You can try a lot of things. I think it's a good environment to do this, and I think for a student it's really important to use this chance, yeah. Take all these voluntary opportunities that you're given here, and then this faculty, the university, is a door. to many things, afterwards. So I think that's a good point. I think the students should realize this.
I want to add to that.
Sure, absolutely.
In terms of like the not to work in isolation and the opportunities, I mean, this university is incredibly well connected. Only because I studied here, I managed to go on to other things. And that has given me so many opportunities. Not only have I learned to really work substantially and question, but I've also created a lot of connections. And this whole idea around local issues benefit from global solutions. And it is about collaboration, international collaboration. So in that sense, as students going forward, like realize your opportunities, create these connections and have these collaborations, and from there you will have more opportunities, and then the more you go to other places, to other labs, to other research centers, it's about, in the sense that the more you go to other places, the more you see other perspectives, and the more you find other ways of looking at things and potentially coming up with solutions. I think this whole thing around collaboration, really to collaborate and to do things together, and link to that the camaraderie. I mean, when I was studying here, we were 2 girls, 4 guys, with this group of 6, we were studying always together. And when one would go abroad, the others would try to come and visit. And just to like add to that one more point in terms of like emotional events, I remember my best friend, we had the exam, we were all together in the classroom, and she failed. And I sat there thinking, well, I have to fail now because we have to study together. So I failed. I just loved it. I just loved it.
That is very sweet. For Dr. Oberhauser.
Yes, I also. Yeah, thank you. So I want to give exactly a message in the same direction, because I want to pick up what you talked about, developing countries and developed countries. Yeah. So I really think every student here gets the skills to be open and to be critical. Yeah, we all learn to challenge what we hear, what we read, and even what we experience. Yeah, and then by that you get open-minded, and you should be open-minded and learn from each other. Yeah, so we as developed countries, we can learn from developing countries. For instance, when I was working in Abu Dhabi, I realized that sustainability means something different than what we mean in Europe here. Yeah? It's not only about green and bio, it's about sustaining the life standard they have. It's about sustaining what they achieved. Or working now in India, when I first entered India, I came with the impression it's a poor country, yeah? And nothing else I knew about India. But immediately I found out how diverse India is and about the huge potential and ambition India has. Yeah? And even we can learn, and every day I learn something from them. So be open, be critical, challenge, and learn by that.
Very good. Kati.
The last add on that, I feel also that this is one of the most important things, getting abroad, seeing other things, and working interdisciplinary. And it's all about, or a lot about, communication. So being able to enlighten others, bring the passion to them is super critical to be innovative, because you need always someone who is supportive, and they can only be supportive if they understand you. That was maybe something during my time at university that was a little bit underestimated. Being able to present something somewhere in simple words, and this would be something what I would really highlight, being super critical for the future, being able to easily communicate and to being able to work cross-cultural and cross-interdisciplinary.
Wonderful. Thank you. I think it's a good time to rethink everything that we have heard and to increase our caloric intake. And I'm pretty sure that our dean has ordered a substantial and excellent lunch. And as I know him, I just bet my life on that. And so let's thank our speakers, our panelists, and we will meet again at 1 p.m. And I was also told that we have a Festschrift that you are very free and very welcome to take home and to sit down and think about your time here, and I hope you will enjoy it. Thank you very much. Thank you.